Welcome back to the Matchday Roundup. I wanted to quickly preface this episode with three separate notes. Firstly, you may have noticed that I have killed This is the Matchday Roundup because I just felt that I wanted to change it up a bit. It just didn't feel as natural as I'd like it to. And I'm just testing this out, so let me know what you think. And I can change it back. I still have the audio file for This is the Matchday Roundup. But if we want to keep it this way, we can. I just wanted to test it out, I guess. And secondly, the interviewee on this episode is Dimitri Liolio-Davis, so keep your ears peeled. Keep on the listen out. Keep listening for that. Lastly, there is no matchday roundup for the game between the Wanderers and St George in the Premier League match, as the Wanderers forfeited due to player shortages. On to the show. The reserve grade match between the Newcastle Jets and Hills United allowed audiences to witness the worst kick clash of the entire competition, with the Jets' gold kits creating confusion for spectators when put against the yellow of Hills United. This didn't bother the Newcastle side, however, as within 4 minutes of pressure from the Jets, Shannon and Lazare had sent them 1-0 up as he dribbled around the Hills defence. This momentum continued for the rest of the first half, with Newcastle having chance after chance. However, both teams stayed defensively strong for the rest of the first half. At the beginning of the second half, the Hills put in a strong effort to prove to the Jets that they were not to be counted out of the game. With multiple chances forcing strong saves from the Newcastle defence, it was apparent that a goal would not be easy to come by for either side. Not long after the Hills had missed a chance from a free kick, and Lazare's magic struck once again as he forced the Hills defence into an own goal from a corner, sending the Jets 2-0 up in the 33rd minute. Whilst the Hills would have an attacking chance in the dying seconds of the game, they were not able to get a consolation goal against the league leaders, as Newcastle's reserves beat the Hills 2-0. The Premier League match between the Newcastle Jets and Hills United saw instant pressure from the favourites in Newcastle. Within 4 minutes, they had two promising attacks. However, the team who had scored 9 goals in their previous 2 games were not showing the same prowess they had against the Wanderers and St George. Despite this lack of goals to the standard of the Jets at least, they ensured that they instilled their name as favourites and reigning champions of this competition, as they defended a high amount of Hills' chances in the first half. With the Jets disappointed at half-time, the game halted at 0-0. As the second half started, it was apparent that the Jets wanted to ensure that their momentum continued, as they held many promising attacks and were forcing the Hills into errors. It was not an error, however, in the 28th minute, which saw a strong string of passes in attack for Newcastle, which saw Newcastle and Australia captain Dimitri Liolio-Davis assist Jordan Crane into scoring an open goal. The Hills saw this goal as motivation, and immediately after had already gained an attacking free kick in a threatening area. Whilst Newcastle were able to keep the ball from going between the posts, they weren't able to keep Chris Hastis out of the goals, as he got sent off for exiting the field of play in his efforts to prevent Hills goalkeeper Matt Mallows from getting to the ball. This added a great sense of tension amongst both spectators and the Newcastle side as they clung on to their 1-goal lead. This didn't mean that Newcastle weren't still the prominent attacking side that they continue to prove. They forced strong saves from the Hills defence and had a chance almost turning into an own goal after Sek applied pressure on Turnbull. The score stayed 1-0 as Newcastle maintained their perfect record. I spoke to Dimitri Liolio-Davis, who provided the assist to Crane after this match. Here's the clip.
My name's Dimitri Liolio-Davis. I'm 39 years old and I play for the Newcastle Jets.
So, Dimitri, what are your initial thoughts after that match?
A little bit disappointed. I mean, we've been flying high for the first 2 weeks. We're getting 5 goals a game, so getting only 1 is a little disappointing, but I mean, we still played well and Hills defended really valiantly in the first half, so just happy that we got the breakthrough and got the 3 points.
You kind of answered my second question already. I literally asked, were you disappointed after 1 goal? I think, you guys had so many chances at the start there and just didn't go to anything. You scored 10 goals in 3 games already. So it's a big season for you guys, it's looking like.
Yeah, I mean, the first half we had so many set plays. We really should have converted on some of them. So I guess that's what we work on next in training, is how to convert these set pieces because we don't really train that too often. We're more trying to score in open play, but
Yeah. And moving on to another part of the game, the red card, do you think it was justified? Why or why not?
oh yeah, it's definitely all four wheels off the court between the posts. It's straight red every day of the week.
And
He actually lined up like that last week in a game for one of our set pieces, and I could see that he was about to reverse. So I screamed at him, "Do not reverse, you're going to get a red card." And he remembered last week, but I guess he forgot this week.
how do you hammer it out of him so he doesn't do it again?
Oh, I think now that he's gotten the red card, he's scared shitless.
That'll be
and he
enough?
won't do it.
Yeah, nice. And one thing I'm doing in every interview, D, is I'm going to get you to make a prediction, either for yourself or for Newcastle as a whole. And at the end of the season, I'm going to come back and get all of them, and we're going to see what was right, what was wrong.
Okay. I'm going to say Shannon is going to get combined goals and assists more than 10 in both grades.
So combining both Prem and Reserve?
So he'll get plus 10 in reserve and plus 10 in
Oh,
first.
plus 10 in both?
Yes.
Right, okay. Well, at the end of the season, we will look at that, and we will see how Shannon goes.
All good.
Well, thanks for being on, D.
No problem.
All good. The reserve grade match between the Western Sydney Wanderers and St George began with two obvious facts. One was that this was the second worst kit clash of the weekend, with the Wanderers in their famous red and black, and the St George side wearing their pure red. Secondly, it was obvious that the Wanderers were adapting their game as they had introduced SAT player Tarek Brown into their side to accompany the attacking threat of Levi Carrero. This, due to player shortages, showed that the Wanderers had faith in the youth of the sport, allowing for Tarek's first reserve grade game and Levi's fourth. In the opening stages of the game, it was the more experienced St George side who were applying pressure to the Wanderers' defence, which was consistently sound from the impromptu defensive pairing of Taylor and Ezzy. However, it was Ezzy who made a miscalculation, driving into St George forward Ruby McLean. The resultant penalty was dealt with well by Taylor, clearing the ball only as far as the opposition. St George continued to attack, however were broken down by 2-on-1 infringements. With no more attacking threats, the match was left 0-0 at half-time. After the break, it was obvious that St George were hungry for a result, with multiple chances being either just missed or well saved by the Wanderers' defence. In one such attack from St George, a 2-on-1 infringement given away in attack led to Taylor taking a hit outside of his box, landing directly at Mitch Albert, who missed his 1-on-1 shot against Taylor. Rather than learning from this mistake, Taylor hit the ball in the same general area, letting lightning strike twice, as Albert once again skimmed the post to just miss the goal. As the game went on, frustration became more and more apparent from St George. However, their frustrations would be nullified, as after forcing a corner in the 38th minute, they forced Ezzy into putting the ball into his own goal. Whilst dampening the morale of some of the Wanderers' side, it appeared that Taylor did not think that the result was finished. He took the resultant kickoff and continued to press to try and sneak a goal in. Despite getting incredibly close multiple times, the St George defence stayed strong, as St George defeated the Wanderers 1-0. Due to the previously mentioned player shortages that the Wanderers had faced, they had made the decision to forfeit the Premier League match. This led to St George having a friendly game with Sydney FC, who otherwise would have had the bye. The result ended 3-1 to Sydney FC, with Fletcher Ball scoring 2 for the Sky Blues, the other being scored by Josh Ryan, while St George's goal was scored by Jake Vidakovic. This forfeit meant that the Wanderers lost the game 3-0. You can get involved in powerchair football here in New South Wales as an athlete, coach, referee or volunteer by visiting the NSW PFA website linked below. Our season takes place in Glenwood at the Valentine Sports Park from the 24th of February 2024 to the 6th of July 2024 every Saturday. Contact info@nswpfa.org.au for more information. Just a quick note that the views of this podcast are mine and mine alone. The opinions and thoughts expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the NSW PFA. If you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can follow us at Powered by Football Pod on Instagram, join our Facebook group, Powered by Football Podcast, or follow our Twitter account, Powered by Pod. Thanks for listening.